Good evening, everybody. Welcome into To The Point. This is Sunday Night Live, where we go live after the NFL to recap the entire day and get into some other things around the sports world. And the the NFL, it's something else. We're going to talk about it all, get into some games, but I don't think it's been a great NFL season. And of course, I love it. I watch it every week, and I'm addicted to the product. But if you were watching for good football, I don't think you've seen a whole lot of it this season. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. But I wanted to start tonight with the topic that took over Twitter, took over flights, took over the world, and that was Shohei Ohtani on Friday. If you weren't following along, Friday, John Morosi of the MLB Network, I believe, tweeted out that Shohei Ohtani was on a bird on his way to Toronto. It was a seismic shift. People were expecting him to sign that day, press conference. There was a tweet out that there's going to be a press conference at 6 p.m. Eastern, and that Ohtani was going to be a Blue Jay. And this tweet was out there for about an hour or so. And then Bob Nightingale of USA Today and Ben Nicholson-Smith, I think that's his name, of the Toronto, who covers the Blue Jays, tweeted out that that was in fact not true. The Blue Jays were still in the running for Shohei Ohtani, but he was not in fact on his way. So there was still, well, whose reporting's right? But then everybody started saying Morosi's wrong, Morosi's wrong. He eventually had to come out, apologize for his incorrect reporting, which I'm all for. You make a mistake, you own it. Good on Morosi. 9 times out of 10, what he says is correct. He wasn't this time, and it was a bad thing to get wrong, quite frankly, because without his tweet, there is no craziness. There's not Blue Jays fans, I don't think, would have gotten their hopes up as much as they did. But we go through Friday, nothing happens, but we learn that the flight from Santa Clara, California to Toronto was actually Dragon's Den and Shark Tank shark Robert Urjavec on his way back into Canada, which was funny because he had to tweet out that, no, I'm not Shohei Ohtani. I don't play baseball. He's got a lot of money, but Ohtani might be eclipsing him in the amount of money that they both make in the next little while. But Robert Urjavec says, sorry, guys, but I'm not Shohei Ohtani. So that transpires. We get to Saturday. It's a quiet day. Not a whole lot going on in the world of sports. I'm watching Army and Navy on CBS, which was always fun. And then Shohei Ohtani goes on Twitter and announces that he will be joining the Los Angeles Dodgers, the team all along you thought he'd go to for 10 years and $700 million, which I saw on Twitter is 945 Canadian. So nearly $1 billion Canadian for Ohtani in La La Land. I think Shohei Ohtani is going to be booed in Toronto when they play in April. There's going to be vitriol and hatred because he did not choose Toronto. There shouldn't be. If you're going to hate anybody, hate John Morosi because he got the reporting wrong. Shohei Ohtani may never have wanted to go to Toronto. Steve Phillips, Shai Davidi, other reporters from Toronto, I'm going to point out, were the ones talking about this because you get them on SportsCenter and you get them on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Central, whatever the hell it is, and they start talking about Ohtani to Toronto. They have a goal in mind They want Ohtani to be a Blue Jay. They want Ohtani in Toronto because it helps them, helps their brand, helps them just create content. So Shohei Ohtani should not be a villain for Blue Jays fans. He owes you nothing. The fact that he considered Toronto should be a pat on the back. Other than the NHL, the Toronto market is not a premier market in any of the other sports, and that's just a fact. The Maple Leafs are king. They make a pile of money. They're a team that doesn't win anything, but people love them. They bring in revenue, and they have all of that, and it's fantastic. However, in baseball, just like in the NBA, they are the black sheep, the ugly duckling, because they are on the other side of the border. They cannot put them on Sunday Night Baseball because the ratings do not count. They are not a premier market. They play in a division with the Red Sox, bigger, with the Yankees, bigger. So they're not a premier brand. They're not a premier market. John Morosi got the report wrong, and he owned it. But to me, Shohei Ohtani made the best decision. The Los Angeles Dodgers, historically, have been more competitive at getting to World Series, winning their own division, than the Toronto Blue Jays. They won a World Series in the COVID year, which, take that for what it's worth. I call it the Fauci medal. They won that. So they won it that year, but since then, they've won their division every other year since 2017, other than when the San Francisco Giants won 107 games to the Dodgers 105. Two historically great seasons. That's the only other time they haven't won their division. They have Freddie Freeman. They have Mookie Betts, who's a second baseman / outfielder. He can do it all. Chris Taylor. They are going to be in the running for Yamamoto, the pitcher coming over, who's meeting with the Dodgers this coming week. Who says they're out on Cody Bellinger? Their pockets are deeper than the Blue Jays. They have better weather. They have a better building. It's Los Angeles. Ohtani will be on Sunday Night Baseball. He has a home in Southern California. Would Toronto have been cool? Absolutely. Do I think if Ohtani joined the team, they'd be a hell of a lot closer to winning World Series than they were a day ago? Yeah. They need bats. Their pitching's fantastic, and it has been for a number of years. Their starting staff is a better starting staff than the Dodgers, no doubt about it. And I think actually this coming season, if Ohtani would have joined the Blue Jays, they would have had a better chance to win the World Series than the Dodgers. Because of the makeup of the team, the Dodgers are scrambling to build a contender, to build a team with pitching, not have to have Lance Lynn and Tony Gonsolin out on the mound in big moments, but they were stuck and they had to do it. Walker Buehler is returning from Tommy John. Huge part. Do they want to bring back Clayton Kershaw? I don't think they will, but I think they'll discuss it. Do they want to pony up and sign Blake Snell? All decisions they're going to have to make. I think Major League Baseball is thrilled. Because it doesn't matter who the Dodgers are playing in a weekend series. They can put Ohtani on Sunday Night Baseball. San Francisco, Arizona, the Royals. It's Shohei Ohtani. He is that big a star. Not to mention Mookie Betts is one of the best players in baseball too. So you're building a super team of sorts, and it's in Los Angeles, the premier market. I wanted to talk about it from the Toronto perspective because I just don't think I'm fine with fans booing. It doesn't bother, but for the right reasons. You want to boo a player like the Islanders booed John Tavares. Okay. You didn't move him because he gave you the interpretation that he was going to come back. And then when you thought he might come back, he spurned you to go to the Leafs and he put out the picture with the pajamas. I can understand that. He was your captain, first overall, exceptional status, all that jazz. And he didn't come. And that hurts and all that, of course. I understand booing him in that circumstance. But for a player that didn't probably really even look at the Toronto Blue Jays, because I don't know how close it was. Steve Phillips or anybody else can tell you it was minutes away. I don't buy into their reporting. Because again, they're Blue Jays reporters. When you're talking about, that's 9 times out of 10, reporters who work covering one specific team, I don't take what they say I don't really take it in. It's in one ear, out the other, because they have a bias. They have a way that they're approaching the story. If a child died and his mother was a journalist and she was writing the story, she would write it very differently than a journalist that was completely removed from it. Because she has an emotional attachment, and that's what these people have. They can say, I don't care. I cover the league and I'm a professional and I'm a journalist, sure. They're few and far between. In life, it's not just sports. I mean, it happens all, look at the way journalism has gone. The writing interesting stories and covering a story top to bottom is gone because the bias that we all have one to a certain extent. But there are people who do it better. I don't know anybody who does it better than me. I don't do a whole lot of things well. I do that well. I have no emotion when I talk about something, in particular sports. I don't. I can talk about a player that gets me angry, and that might be emotional adjacent. But the Rangers could beat the Kings tonight. The Maple Leafs beat the Predators last night. The Chiefs just lost to the Bills. I enjoy watching the product, but I don't care who wins. Stanley Cup every year. World Juniors. It's sick. I don't even root for my country anymore. So that's my bias, is that I don't believe people have that. I always go, well, nobody can do it because there's not many people like me. And that's not a sense of narcissism. That's just me being around the sports world, watching media people, having a journalism degree, communications degree, and seeing how the sausage is made. These companies, these people that work for teams, and they have a job to do. I'm not begrudging them. They need to cover whatever team they're covering. In this case, it's the Blue Jays. And it's better for them if Ohtani's a Blue Jay. It's a story. It's writing a column and having something you already can mention. It's gold. We see it in sports. Oh, you're telling me the people in Kansas City aren't thrilled that Taylor Swift is connected to the Chiefs this season? They love it because, good or bad, they can throw it in their piece. If Kelsey's playing fantastic, the Taylor Swift bump. If Kelsey's playing horrible, it's, why is he spending so much time with Taylor Swift? Is he distracted? Is he not focused entirely on football? See how easy that is? It's an easy take. It's an easy article. And when you have to make one every other night, you want to have material. Ohtani hits home run. Ohtani blasts 30th home run of the season while Jays lose 8-1 to the Angels. The team gets crushed, right? They could be going through a tough stretch. But in the middle of that tough stretch, you can throw in the positive Ohtani. Hearing George Springer hits his 24th home run to left just doesn't have the same gravitas, doesn't have the same je ne sais quoi. You throw Ohtani out there, the unicorn, the best player in baseball, 2-time MVP. I think Ohtani got the most money he could ever imagine. I can't believe it's $700 million. I gasped. I thought 550. But seeing $700 million was a stunner. But he was playing with the Angels going nowhere, like Mike Trout. And he got to free agency and he played it out. I'm sure he talked to the Blue Jays and he talked to San Francisco and Seattle, Cubs, and maybe even the Atlanta Braves. But I think he looked in the mirror and said, I want to stay in California because of all the factors I mentioned earlier. And the Dodgers are a team that always tries to win. They have stable ownership. They have one of the smartest general managers in baseball. So it's the best of both worlds. He gets to get all the money he could ever want while also saying at the same time, I'm trying to compete and I'm trying to win a World Series. Yes, I'm making a crazy, crazy amount of money, but guys, it's okay. Because we're still going to bring in players. And there's no salary cap in baseball, so we can sign Yamamoto or bring back Cody Bellinger to play center field. Or sign Blake Snell. And we're trying to win here year one in LA. Mike Trout stuck with the Angels because I think he was comfortable and he made a pile of money. If Ohtani goes back to the Angels, he can't say he's trying to compete. Because he was there 6 years and the team was never competitive. He did not play in one playoff game. We saw him at the World Baseball Classic. Clearly being a competitor, being involved in big moments is important to him. I think he's going to be able to have some of those moments in Los Angeles. At the very least, he will make the playoffs. I can guarantee that. Angels fans shouldn't be mad at him. Be mad at Artie Moreno for being a terrible owner, making bad signings, and leading that team nowhere. Having two of the best players in baseball history on your roster and playing in a combined 0 postseason games. That's who to blame. The fact that you couldn't do anything. You couldn't hire smart managers. You couldn't hire a smart general manager to combine that with the talent. That's who you blame. The player who says, oh, I'm going to stay here and be stuck in quicksand for another decade? Yeah, fuck that. Screw this. I can make money anywhere, but I'd also like to try to win something while I'm over here in North America. Shohei Ohtani will not pitch in 2024. So it means that first year of $70 million will be just as a hitter, which is staggering. But he's the biggest, hottest player in sports. The amount of eyeballs on him, what he's brought. He hardly speaks English. I think he speaks better English than he lets off, but he doesn't want to do interviews. He's very shy. He's very private, guarded. And yet his play has been spectacular enough that everybody knows who he is and everybody knows what he brings to the table. Ohtani is a Dodger, and this should open up the rest of free agency. Where are players going? Ohtani is off the board. The Blue Jays missed out on him. They tried. But the work doesn't stop. You couldn't hit the backside of a barn door in the playoffs. Who are you going to get in that can hit a baseball? Are you going to trade George Springer? Are you going to sign Vlad Guerrero Jr. this offseason to an extension? Are you trading Alek Manoah? Yankees already got Juan Soto and Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham. And Aaron Judge is healthy. And they're meeting with Yamamoto this week to see if they can steal him from the Mets and bring him in to the Bronx. So they're trying to get better after missing out on the postseason. Got a good team, but clearly it wasn't good enough. What are you going to do? Matt Chapman was your third baseman. Are you going to bring him back? Do you want to pay him the money? Decisions. And who's replacing him if it's not going to be Matt Chapman? Not a whole lot of great free agents, but you got to have players. You got to field the team. But that whole Ohtani drama was fun. John Morosi started a fire. And Ohtani put it out when he told the world he's going to Los Angeles. And the people in Toronto collectively dropped their heads. Let's move to the NFL. I said this off the top. A lot of bad football this year. A lot of bad teams. A lot of bad football. If I had to define the NFL in one word this year, it's survival. Can you survive individual games? Can you survive week to week? Because there's been no consistency. There's been no team that's just been dominant from start to finish. And can you avoid the landmines? Can you avoid an injury? Can you avoid bad play and get through? We're going to wait and see what happens Eagles-Cowboys tonight. We'll talk about that on Tuesday alongside the Monday Night Football games, which is a doubleheader tomorrow for some reason. But survival. Can you survive this? The Buffalo Bills were dead to rights. And I even said they were done. The Buffalo Bills were dead to rights, and Josh Allen was playing horrible. They threw away a game to the Eagles at the Link. And they looked like they were going to be put out back behind the shed and they were going to get shot. But the Buffalo Bills have survived. They've taken a few punches, but they've still been able to throw a quick left hand back. Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs just finished the game about half an hour ago. It was entertaining. I can't say it was well played on either side. Buffalo Bills had a 14-point lead at one point. Had all the momentum. Josh Allen was outplaying Patrick Mahomes. Then Josh Allen does Josh Allen things right before the half. He throws a bad interception, which leads to a touchdown. Bills have the opportunity before the half to end up with a field goal. They end up with nothing. So it's 14-7 at the half. We go through. Both teams are running the football, which I like. Making big plays. Benford makes a forced fumble of Rashee Rice. Then Kansas City's defense forces a 3-and-out. But it came down to this. Buffalo handles the last 5 minutes of the game horribly. Their play calling, their decisions, completely questionable. And Tyler Bass kicks a field goal with 1:57 remaining. Kansas City gets the ball, and you're thinking, Patrick Mahomes, here's your time to shine. Finds Rashee Rice, beautiful pass, great catch along the sideline. We progress. The next play, Mahomes, big play to Kelsey. Kelsey throws a lateral pass to Kadarius Toney, and Kadarius Toney runs it into the end zone. Chiefs look like they take the lead with 1:02 left. However, Kadarius Toney was offside. He was in the neutral zone. Play is wiped. Pass rush gets to Mahomes. Incompletion on the next play. 4th and 15. Incomplete. The Bills win. Improved to 7-6. And they join about half the AFC, who are also 7-6. The collective theme for the Chiefs was their receivers can't catch anything. And I don't think that was an inaccurate take. What I think's happened is it's gotten more intricate. Kansas City just isn't a very talented team anymore. Today they didn't have Isaiah Pacheco, who's their lead running back. Their offensive tackle position is one of the worst in the NFL. They miss Orlando Brown. He's in Cincinnati. And Kadarius Toney, who the Giants let go, and yes, he caught a pass in the Super Bowl, but he was a gadget player then. You're asking to be a more important player now. He doesn't just drop the football, which he does. He's just unaware of what he's doing on the field. He's lining up in the neutral zone. He has to be aware of what's happening in the game, and he just simply was not. He makes poor decision after poor decision, and he cost the Chiefs the game. They score a touchdown there. The way the Bills' season has gone, I don't trust the Bills to score a touchdown. I like the Chiefs' defense, and it played phenomenal all day. It's been playing phenomenal for most of the season. I think they would have got the stop, and I think the Chiefs would have survived the game. But Kadarius Toney wiped the play away, and it hit the Chiefs like a gut punch. Travis Kelce is not the same tight end. He's got a new girlfriend. Hopefully they're happy. I'm not saying that's why he's not playing. I just think he's getting old. Been hit a lot. Doesn't look like the same guy. Not as explosive. But he's got Taylor Swift. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Rashee Rice is great, but he's not a number one receiver. He's the number one receiver in a crop of bad receivers. Mahomes is frustrated. He's yelling at the officials. He's pissed off after most plays. I think you're seeing him being incredibly mad that he's used to perfection. He's used to being great. And he's now at 8-5. 2 games out of the best record in the AFC, which they're unlikely to get at the end of the season, by the way. They're down there with the Jags. And not to mention the Broncos are only a game back of the Chiefs at 7-6, which is something else. Kansas City does not scare you. They have a great quarterback, but I don't think the rest of their team, their defense is great. A lot of talent. They play hard. I don't know. To me, they're just another team. They're just another team, and they can be had by just about anybody in the league. Because other than the Cardinals and the Patriots and the god-awful Panthers, the whole league's pretty close. Like, the Bills are as good as the Chiefs. I don't think Josh Allen's as good as Mahomes. And overall, I think the Chiefs are better than the Bills, but the Bills won in Arrowhead today. That's just the fact of the matter. If the Bills can get in, are they a threatening playoff team? Absolutely. They're as good as anybody. And they have some tough games down the stretch. It's still not a lock for them to get in, but today was a huge result for the Buffalo Bills. But Kansas City, they're lacking something. They're lacking explosiveness. They're lacking confidence. They don't have anything that you're really excited about. Other than Mahomes, they don't have a player on offense you go, wow, that player's fantastic. I credit the Bills for finding a way to win that game. Josh Allen threw a bad pick. I think he was horrible in the fourth quarter. But they won the game. The defense bailed them out. And sometimes defenses have to do that. They've had a lot of injuries, but they owned the Chiefs' offensive line. And they were in Mahomes' face for most of the day. And in particular, on that last drive, they did not allow Mahomes to get traction, to escape the pocket. They were fantastic. Benford was awesome in that game. So they keep themselves in the fight. That's what they did. I like that they're using James Cook, that they're using Latavius Murray, that they're running the football. They should have been doing it earlier in Josh Allen's career. But I'm happy that Joe Brady, the new offensive coordinator, is going, wow, we have a running back position. Let's use it. Let's allow this team who ran the ball 28 times today, which doesn't seem like a whole lot compared to 42 passes, still way too many passes, but they ran the football. James Cook ran for 5-6 yards a clip. They need to run the football more. They can do it against these teams. Kansas City was running the football well. They only ran the football less than 20 times today. Your team is not good enough in the pass game to throw the football over 40 times. It just isn't. And that's an Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' fault. Know who you are. Run the football between the tackles, and it might lead to better pass plays, because it was not happening today. That pass rush was owning the tackles and getting to Mahomes. And every team you looked at a couple weeks ago, they got an easy schedule. I don't know. Kansas City. 4 games remaining. At the Patriots next Sunday. Play the Raiders on Christmas. Host the Bengals, which is a tougher game. And at the Chargers to cap off the season. All games they should probably win. Backup quarterback with the Patriots. Backup quarterback with the Raiders. Backup quarterback with the Bengals. And who knows with Justin Herbert. If you missed that game today where the Broncos crushed the Chargers, he hurt his finger and he left the game, and he's questionable for Thursday night. So he could be out a while. And the Chargers are now 5-8. 5-8. Brandon Staley, pack your bags because you're done. You're so done. But credit to Buffalo for surviving. Another team that survived today. I don't trust the Baltimore Ravens at all. They have the second best record in the NFL right now, and we'll see how the Eagles do, because if the Eagles lose tonight, they'll be tied with the best record in the NFL. Baltimore's 10-3, and yet I don't trust them at all. I watched that first half against the Rams, and they're allowing Kyron Williams to run the football down the throat on defense. Stafford's making big play after big play. Lamar's missing guys. They can't run the football between the tackles. But when they needed a play, Lamar goes on a touchdown drive, two passes to Aguilar, OBJ in a 3rd and 17, huge play, and hit Zay Flowers for a touchdown, and it's hit Zay Flowers for a 2-point conversion. It was a clutch drive that you need to see from Lamar Jackson. To go, oh yeah, there's Lamar. Lamar can kind of fly under the radar because you go, oh, it's Lamar. And he does so many things wrong, but then again, he led the team in rushing today, and 316-yard passes and 3 touchdowns. And yes, he threw an interception, but 3 touchdown passes to 3 different receivers. While Mark Andrews also being out and missing guys on defense, he did it. But the Rams are right there with them. The Rams held tough. Puka Nacua is making some big plays. I mentioned Kyron Williams. But the Ravens, while allowing some plays you don't want to see and turning the ball over in big moments and giving up a safety in the 3rd quarter, when Lamar had to be big, he was. He saw big holes in the Rams defense when he hit Isaiah Likely for a touchdown. Then he hit OBJ for a long touchdown. And you get to overtime and you see them go 3-0, you go, oh God. 3 plays where they gain 2 yards. But then the Rams go 3-0 because that Ravens defense under Mike Macdonald has been fantastic all year long. And like week 1, and this is the Jets, the Ravens walk off the game with a punt return for a touchdown by Tylan Wallace, formerly of Oklahoma State. And while I don't trust the Ravens at all, and Harbaugh gets on my nerves with some of his decision-making, because I think he coaches in fear, which is a loser's race in how to approach sports, never goes for it on 4th down, so old school, I can't, 4th and 2, we got to punt. They make it work. They have a 10-3 record. In this season, it's not about the best teams. It's just about surviving. Can the Ravens end up with the number 1 seed? Yes. Because of the record and the way they currently sit. I give more credit to the Ravens and to the Dolphins and teams like San Francisco for being 10-3 this season, because so many teams have hit landmines and haven't been able to survive these games. The Dolphins used to be ridiculed because they haven't beaten a good team. Well, they haven't lost to a bad team. All respectable losses on their schedule. They have been TCBing against these bad teams all year long. Chiefs have lost. Steelers lost to the Patriots on Thursday night. Jacksonville, with a healthy Trevor Lawrence, lost to Cleveland today. The Ravens did not lose to the 6-7 Rams. Stafford was great. He took some big hits, but the Ravens survived. They don't have a player on defense that you go, okay, he's our guy. Maybe Roquan Smith. but he's a linebacker. So you go, well, linebackers aren't that important. They just know how to play that scheme. They know how to get to the quarterback, and they attack. I think the Rams would have won the game if they stuck to their game plan on the first drive. The first 9 plays of the game were all rushing attempts by the Rams, and they were averaging 6 yards a clip. They got to the red zone on that opening drive, and they threw 3 straight drop-back passes. I don't understand that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stafford had a good day. And he did attack that defense. He threw for 294. However, they should have ran the ball more. They should have continued to do it because it was working. I think they would have won the game. But again, they didn't. And that's a tough loss for the Rams because you're 6-7. But you're looking at, it's something else what's happening in the respective divisions when it comes to playoff seeding. Let's go through this because the AFC is on fuego with 7-6. 6 seeded are the Steelers, somehow. 7-6 Steelers. Mitch Trubisky, that awful performance. I didn't even watch some of it on Thursday night because it was that bad. 7-6 Colts. 7-6 Houston. 7-6 Denver. 7-6 Cincinnati. 7-6 Buffalo. 6 teams at 7-6 at this point with 4 weeks remaining. Something's got to give, folks. Well. Do I trust the Steelers? Hell no. Do I trust the Colts? Hell no. And they play each other next Saturday in the Saturday Showcase where there are 3 NFL games on a Saturday. Love it, by the way. Houston 7-6. I don't trust Houston. They got crushed by the Jets today. I was actually happy for the Jets and Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, who was reported on all week that he didn't want to play and just wasn't into it, was against his teammates, this, that, and the third. He goes out and has the best game of his probably pro career, you could argue. First half was complete dog shit. But second half, 27 for the game, 27-36, 301, 2 touchdowns, and they win 30-6. He answered the bell, was benched, comes back in, and performs. I'm not saying this is going to be the start that turns his career around, but it's tape that he's putting out. I don't think he's going to be a New York Jet next season. I don't think he wants to be a New York Jet next season. But if a team goes, we need a backup quarterback, we need somebody to come in, you've seen him play well. In a tough situation when he could have wilted, when he could have played awful today, he was fantastic. For Houston, they're losing receivers. That's a problem. Nico Collins left the game in like the 3rd play. Dalton Schultz didn't play. Robert Woods is banged up. They've already lost Tank Dell for the season. So CJ Stroud's losing weapons, and not to mention he left the game with a concussion. So the offensive rookie of the year, one of the best players in the NFL this year, could be out. And that's problematic for the Texans. So we don't know how good they're going to be. I don't trust them. Denver is 7-6. I'm going to say this tonight. I'm going to make a few predictions. Here's how I see this going down. With the win today, Cleveland's going to make the playoffs. Cleveland beat Jackson, which I didn't think was going to happen. I bet on the Jags. The game was close. Cleveland won. Their defense was simply superb. Emerson, 2 interceptions. Newsome, interception. Flacco made plays when he had to, but it was about that defense today. They answered the bell. They played hard. And I'll say Joe Flacco is sitting on his couch, doesn't have a job, gets called by the Browns. He's been great in the first 2 weeks. Throws a bad interception in both. That's going to happen. That's Joe Flacco. He giveth and he takes it away. But to me, Stefanski said after the game he's our starting quarterback for the rest of the year. I agree with that decision. Have him make a connection with some receivers, and to quote Russell Wilson, let's ride. Because they beat the Jags today, I believe the Browns are going to make the playoffs. With the remaining schedule, which again is so hard to predict, because who the hell knows what's happening. They got host the Bears, at the Texans, host the Jets, at the Bengals. I think they win at least 2 of those games, maybe 3. So to me, the Browns are in. They very well could be the 5 seed. So I have the Browns making the playoffs. Another team I'm going to pencil in to make the playoffs, I have the Denver Broncos making the playoffs. Big win today. They get aid with Herbert. I don't completely trust the Broncos. Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, I don't think it's a match made in heaven. I don't think Sean Payton loves Russell Wilson, wishes he could have another quarterback, maybe. But they run the football well. Their defense is playing better. They're physical, violent, you could argue, their defense. And to me, the Broncos are just, I like their remaining games. They're a very good team at home. They finish at Detroit, host the Patriots Christmas Eve, host the Chargers, who they beat today, and then at the Raiders. That Raiders game will be a home game. And they play the Lions on Saturday night, which will be a fun game. But hey, the Lions aren't exactly world beaters either. I think the Broncos are making the playoffs. I'll pencil them as my 6th seed because at 7-6, I believe they win at least 3 of the next 4. That means they're at the worst 10-7. You're getting in 10 wins in the AFC. The last seed, who's it going to be? Because while Jacksonville has their problems, they got a tough game next weekend coming off this loss. I believe, anyway. Yeah, Jacksonville's at Baltimore next Sunday night, which is not fun. But they have 8 wins, so that gives them a bump. And Trevor Lawrence was awful today, but we'll see. Who will be the last team? Cincinnati's impressed me. Jake Browning is just playing football. Not hurting himself, not putting himself in bad situations, just distribute the ball, let the running backs make their plays, find Jamar Chase, and he's just managing the game, and he's making the throws when he has to, and their defense plays hard. They crushed the Colts today. In that second half, they took over, and they couldn't do anything about it. Cincinnati also plays next Saturday against Minnesota. Then they're at Pittsburgh, at Kansas City against Cleveland. I think they can win at least 2 of them. Maybe 3 with that Cleveland game. Who knows? Minnesota, we'll talk about the NFC. Minnesota put up 3 points today in one of the worst games. I watched almost all of it. I had that on my computer. To me, it's either Cincinnati or Buffalo, and I don't know which one. I don't think it's going to be the Colts. I don't think it's going to be the Texans. The Bills are the best of the bunch. The Bills finish with, they play Dallas next Sunday, at the Chargers, against New England, and at Miami. Two really tough opponents, two soft ones. Can you steal? If they can steal one of those tough games and get to 10 wins, they will be in with the Broncos. Maybe that last Miami game won't mean anything to Miami. They can continue to win. That game might be of little interest. But that's the question. Could the Bills upset Dallas? Who knows? But to me, it's the Bills or the Bengals are going to be that 7th seed in the AFC. Because while the Jags have had their issues and Kansas City's 8-5, they're going to make the playoffs. They'll have to play wildcard games and be in a tough spot. But I don't see them falling out that much because the rest of the conference just isn't that good. And I don't trust any of them to win these games. And the Colts and the Steelers, well, one of them has to win playing next weekend. I don't know. That's a funny game. But I credit Baltimore. And we'll see what Miami can do tomorrow night. But they have been surviving all year long. You avoid the landmines. An opponent you should beat, they have beaten them. You get through it. And you're going to be 10-3. And you have breathing room over these other teams. Kansas City has to win every game now. Because the Broncos are a game back. And the Broncos believe that they're better and they can pass you in the standings, which, hey, more power to them. Maybe they can. They've already beaten you this season. Philly, Dallas, I know is on right now. I don't know the score. I'm going to wait. I've got the game taping, so I'm going to watch it after we're done talking here tonight. San Francisco beats Seattle today. No Geno Smith. Drew Lock actually played quite well. Credit to him. Seattle covered the spread. Credit to them. San Francisco is the best team in the NFL when they're firing on all cylinders. You saw some holes in that defense. They gave out some big plays. But Seattle does have some great players on offense. So, again, touche. It's becoming so bad in the NFC where I look at San Francisco and I still believe in Philly, but I think they're kind of a wounded bird right now, and I believe Dallas is going to beat them tonight big. I got Dallas by 10 points or more. But San Fran, Philly, Dallas, I don't trust and I don't believe in any other team. Detroit lost today to the Bears. And Justin Fields played great. One of his best games of the year. He showed that he can play quarterback in the NFL, 100%. This is a tape he wants to have, so if the Bears get rid of him, another team can go scoop him up. Like the Falcons or like the Steelers, who could both use his services next season. But Jared Goff's been playing bad football since before Thanksgiving, and it hasn't gone away. He's had about 4 weeks of really crap football. 8 turnovers in 4 games. Their offense has dried up a little bit. They can hold a lead. They take bad penalties. They give up chunk plays. And they're 9-4, and all of a sudden, you look at them and go, okay, how good are you? And I also got to thinking, can the Packers win this division? Can my pick all along somehow steal this division from the Detroit Lions, who have Denver, at Minnesota, Dallas, and Minnesota remaining on their schedule? Unlikely, but I thought about it. But I look at Detroit and go, I just don't believe in you. You make too many mistakes. Your quarterback has been playing horrible. Your running game, you're getting Jahmyr Gibbs dropped the football that would have been a touchdown, a bad drop. Sam Laporta is your best offensive player, and he's a rookie. Thank God they have him. The creativity of this pass game has gone away a little bit. And the Bears did whatever the hell they wanted with them, and the Bears kicked their ass today. That was not a close game. Ended up being 28-13. 13 points on the Bears. But they're not averaging many points. Jared Goff, 20 for 35, 161. Just brutal. Sacked 4 times. 54.6 quarterback rating. Jahmyr Gibbs. They ran the ball for 6 yards a carry with Gibbs, 6 yards a carry with Montgomery. Why aren't you running the football more? Some of these teams, your passing game sucks. Run the ball. Seriously. It's not a sin to do it. You're allowed to, it's still part of the game. Your running backs make no money. You should want to do it. While they're making no money, run the football. The Bears can't stop anybody running the football. Okay, now let's let them off the hook. Give it to Jared Goff and let him turn the ball over with another 2-interception game. But Detroit, their stock is going down every time they get on the field. And that Broncos game next weekend, Saturday Showcase, I wonder if anybody would be gambling on the Broncos plus the points. I wonder if anybody I know will be doing that. I don't know. Might be me. I bet on the Broncos today, plus points against the Chargers. That was the easiest money I'll ever get, betting against Brandon Staley. Broncos home game. Thanks, Vegas. But I don't trust Detroit. San Francisco, McCaffrey, Debo, they're great. I don't think San Francisco will lose another game. Could be wrong about that. They have a tough one with the Ravens upcoming on Christmas, I believe. Last game on Christmas Day, they play Baltimore. But they got Arizona, Washington, and the Rams. I don't think San Francisco loses any of those 3 games. So, at the worst, 13 wins. I think they beat Baltimore personally at home. So I think San Francisco is going to be 14-3. I think they're going to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. Well, the Eagles are great. I've already said, I think the Eagles are going to lose tonight. So they will also be 10-3. I think Dallas at home, the way the Eagles have played, they'll take advantage of it. But San Francisco's a well-oiled machine. If they get home field throughout the NFC playoffs, that's not fun. It's a dangerous spot for any team to be in. McCaffrey's just getting cooking. Debo Samuel's playing better by the week. And they don't have to blow out these teams. They're just kind of playing with them. Just kind of go, okay, Seattle, we'll let you cover the spread today. But in the fourth quarter, when they had to make the big plays, they did. They were there. So San Francisco is the best team in the NFL, for sure. The rest of it, the NFC, We have a three-way tie for the NFC South lead. Buccaneers, Saints, Falcons, all at 6-7. Buccaneers beat the Falcons today on Baker Mayfield game-winning touchdown drive. Credit to my guy Shake and Bake, who I also had money on today with the Bucs. But the Bucs aren't any good. And the Falcons aren't any good. And the Saints aren't any. Derek Carr threw for 140 yards today against Carolina is so bad that they crushed them, but they're not a good team. And yet one of these teams is going to get a home playoff game, which is really a travesty, but I can't say there's many other teams in the NFC who deserve one, other than the Cowboys or Eagles are going to be playing a road playoff, playing in a wild card game, likely against the winner of this division. But you're looking at it. Minnesota 7-6. And currently in the 6th seed. Minnesota won a football game 3-0 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh Dobbs, until he was benched, threw for 63 yards and 23 passes. He was sacked 6 times. And Justin Jefferson returned for the first time since he got injured, and he left the game in the first quarter after taking a huge hit. Minnesota doesn't have a quarterback. They don't have an identity. Who the hell are Minnesota? We don't know. Is Nick Mullins the quarterback moving? They scored 3 fucking points today. 7th seed, we have Green Bay, who are 6. I like Green Bay. I think Green Bay is making the playoffs 100%. They got the Giants tomorrow. I think they're going to win that game, despite the fact that Christian Watson and Jair Alexander are both out, which are big losses. But the Giants aren't a good football team. And Green Bay actually plays the Buccaneers next weekend, which, oddly enough, is a spicy game that I want to watch. But Green Bay, home to Tampa, at Carolina, at Minnesota versus Chicago. That's a great schedule to end the year. I think they could go 5-0. I do. I think they're going to be a favorite in every game. Because those road games at Carolina, they'll be a favorite in that game. And at Minnesota, I think they'll be a favorite in that game too. So Green Bay at 6-6, they could run the table. Could they be 11-6 to end the season potentially and be in the mix for the division? I'm not ruling that out. But I think they'll be the 5 seed. Because they're better than Minnesota. So they'll be the 6 because they won't be better than the Cowboys. But they'll be the 6th seed in the NFC. But then you look at the rest. Minnesota's there at 7-6. The Rams are 6-7. Seattle 6-7. Atlanta 6-7. New Orleans 6-7. Chicago now back in the mix at 5-8. Some bad teams in the NFC. Some really bad teams. Atlanta perplexes me. They don't want to use Bijan Robinson, who they took in the first round at running back, and he's so talented. He can run, but he can do it all between the tackles. Oh, it's just not using him. The Rams are actually a good team, I think, but they're young, and they probably should have won today, but they didn't. They closed with Washington, New Orleans, Giants, San Francisco. Not a gimme schedule. That San Francisco game's tough, but maybe that won't mean anything to San. Maybe get some backups in that game to close out the year potentially. Seattle, they got Philly. I know that coming up next Monday night. That's not fun. at Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Arizona. Other than the Eagles game, and you look at it and go, that's pretty good, but they're kind of beaten and battered a little bit. I'm not ruling out the Bears. Are the Bears going to make the play? Probably not. I get it. But the Bears played well today. Bears at Cleveland, Arizona, Atlanta, Green Bay. Could they win 3 of those 4? Sure. 8-9 might get you in. That's how bad it is. 8-9 could get you into the playoffs. Multiple teams could be 8-9 in the NFC. NFC South might be 8-9. Minnesota's at 7-6. Do they win 2 more games before their season's done? Averaging 3 points a game. At Cincy, Detroit, Green Bay, Detroit. Do they win any of those games? I don't know. I don't think they're going to be a favorite in any of them. And they're not, my gauge on if I like a team is, do I feel comfortable gambling on them? I feel comfortable gambling on the Broncos. They're at least going to cover the number, but they might win the game like they did today. When you can get plus money on a team, you take it. That you feel good about. I took the Jags today. It failed. I learned my lesson. I don't trust them anymore. Like betting against the Dolphins. There are going to be big spreads in those games because the Dolphins score a lot of points. I don't trust the opponent to keep it close because the Dolphins haven't allowed their opponents to keep it close this season. They punched those teams in the mouth and just said, guess what? We're going to win. Tomorrow night, the Dolphins are a 13.5-point favorite at home against the Titans. 13.5. Largest spread of the week. Titans are coming off a loss to the Colts. They don't put up a whole lot of points. Will Levis will be in at quarterback. And this was the spread last week with the Commanders. The Commanders did not cover. Dolphins killed them. If I'm betting tomorrow night, I'm taking the Dolphins, and I'm probably taking the over 46.5, quite frankly. Because this team can score with anybody. Tyreek Hill should be the leading vote getter for the MVP. I feel like a day like today only helps him because not that many people played well across the league. In particular, the quarterbacks. They're all either injured or playing really poorly. So this is the year a position player should absolutely win the MVP, and Tyreek Hill is the leading vote getter on that front. But with him and Jalen Waddle and the way they can run the football, I don't trust the Titans to cover a near 2-touchdown spread tomorrow night. The other game, you have Packers at the Giants. Packers are a 6-point favorite on the road in the Meadowlands. For a team that's just 500, that's quite staggering. Giants haven't played in a long time. They're coming off a bye week. Tommy DeVito will be in at quarterback. They're not going back to the veteran Tyrod Taylor, pardon me. So they're sticking with the kid at quarterback. They've won a couple in a row. But they beat the Patriots in their last game, scoring 10 points. So, while the Giants are a feel-good story and you like Tommy DeVito and all that noise, I do think the Packers will go into New York tomorrow night and get the victory. 2 games on Monday Night Football that really on paper aren't very good. And you have Chargers-Raiders on Thursday. Not a great game either. To be fair to the league, it's hard to get a really good primetime game because there's not that many good teams. And there's not a whole lot of great football getting played. It's a calamity of just average being thrown onto a field and said, mush. What I'd say is you get the Dolphins on primetime, you get to see a fun offensive game. You get to see the most electric player in the NFL, and that is Tyreek Hill. So that can sell. But another weird week. Curious to see what happens with the Eagles and the Cowboys. We'll talk about that Tuesday, alongside the Monday Night Football games. But the NFL is a content machine. I always want to talk about it. I love it. Good football, bad football. I just want football. And we get it every week. So I'm thankful for that. The rest of the weekend, what went down? Anything noteworthy? Well, the Edmonton Oilers won again today. They're on fire. Hottest team in the NHL. Evan Bouchard, who didn't know what a stick was the first 3 weeks of the season, for more than that, first month, has the longest active point streak in the league. McDavid has risen in the rankings. He is now, let's see where he is, tied for 8th in league scoring. And he's climbing every day. But the Oilers are getting saves. They're possessing the puck a ton. And they look like a legit team. They're a scary bunch. They are now only 3 points back of the Nashville Predators with 2 games in hand. And I believe the Predators are playing tonight, and they currently have a 2-1 lead on the Canadiens de Montréal at the second intermission. So maybe they'll win that game, you back a few more points, but watching Nashville last night, they're not a great team. They're not good at all, quite frankly. So to me, Edmonton's back on track. They're 12-12-1, so they're back to 500. Flames above them, Kraken, the Blues, Minnesota. To me, they just look like their power play is lethal again. They're moving the puck efficiently. I still think they could upgrade their defense, but that's about half the league. Half the league needs more defense, and there's enough defense to go around, quite frankly. But, I mean, Zach Hyman, Evander Kane, those two guys have kind of been the driving force of this turnaround for me. They kind of created that energy, got them that spark. Friday night, I'm watching them against Minnesota. Evander Kane laid a huge hit on Jonas Brodin. It was clean, by the way. Brodin goes down, and Ryan Hartman takes a stupid penalty, and they score on the power play to win the game 4-3. Simple things like that. They're taking advantage of opportunities. They get New Jersey on a back-to-back, and they beat them. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. New Jersey had a great swing out west, but they get the Oilers at the wrong time. Oilers are so confident. McDavid's completely on point, and they're taking care of business. So the Oilers, with their speed, with their confidence, getting some saves, they look like a real team. Joseph Wall, we learned, out week to week with a high ankle sprain. Maybe it'll be quick. Trevor Lawrence has a high ankle sprain. He played this today for the Jaguars and, plays quarterback, kind of a dangerous position. So maybe Joseph Wall won't miss that much time after all if he's got the strength of Trevor Lawrence. Toronto won last night. Matthews with a pair of goals. It was one of their better performances of the year. They possessed the puck. They didn't allow high danger scoring chances. Nashville was just chasing them around the entire night. Samsonov gets a shutout. Good confidence for him. He didn't have to do a whole lot between the pipes. But it was a good game. You win in regulation. There's no BS. It's just you get it done. And then you look toward the week. You have the Islanders tomorrow, who are quietly red hot, playing good hockey. They handed the Los Angeles Kings their first road loss of the season last night, coming back from a 2-0 deficit, winning that game in the 3-on-3 gimmick. They're playing great hockey. Then the next night on a back-to-back, you get the Rangers, who lead the Eastern Conference in points, who are currently beating Los Angeles as we speak at Madison Square Garden, and have been consistently the best team in the Eastern Conference all year long with the Boston Bruins. So you're gearing up for a difficult week. A pair of road games that won't be easy. Two teams that are game. And you also have Columbus and Pittsburgh later in the week, where Kyle Dubas will make his return to the Air Canada Centre. So it's a big week, 4 games. And they haven't played a whole lot of hockey, so that's going to happen on the schedule. Look above them: Boston, 26 games. Florida, 27. Flyers, 27. Islanders, 26. Lightning, 29. Wow. Hurricanes, 27. I don't think the Joseph Woll injury will be a big deal for the Maple Leafs. They're playing good hockey. Connor Timmins needs to go. He's not an NHL defenseman. That guy makes so many mistakes. Keep Samad Benoit. I like him. Physical, just does his give. But Connor Timmins is a fucking nightmare on the ice. He is the new Trevor Dermott. Just get the puck, throws it away to somebody, then he's got to try to recover. I think he gets paid by turnover. The game's too fast, or he's too erratic. He needs to go. Not an NHL defenseman, but they kind of have about 3 of them on the back end who aren't. So one piece at a time. Scary incident last night. I'm watching Detroit, Ottawa, and Dylan Larkin goes down with him and Matthew Joseph in front, and he looked lifeless on the ice. The way his body was positioned, I was really concerned. Eventually, he did get up, and he left with people helping him. It sounds like he's going to be out a while. And then after the fact, David Perron comes over, cross-checks Artem Zub in the head. And it was a dirty play, no doubt about it. But he was also defending his teammate. We saw it again today with Eric Goodbranson, who beat the holy hell out of Nick Cousins after Nick Cousins hit him from behind earlier in the game. So I think we're seeing things not being called and players seeking, vigilante justice, if you will, on these respective plays. David Perron is going to get a hearing in person. It's going to be up to 5 games. He also got a 5-minute major. I don't think it's a suspension. He got a 5-minute. He got ejected from the game in the first period. That's a game suspension. Was it dirty what he did to Zub? Yes. But Joseph was also dirty, and he started the bullshit. He injured the Red Wings captain. You could argue their best player. And Dylan Larkin is going to miss a question mark period of time because we haven't heard yet. But he won't be playing in their next game. I can tell you that. And he probably won't be playing the game after that. He's had neck injuries in the past, and it hit him in the neck, and that's what you're worried about. So Larkin being out is a big deal to the Red Wings. He's their captain, and Perron, a veteran, was defending a teammate. Matthew Joseph is not going to get a suspension. Matthew Joseph, I think, got a 2-minute minor on the play, but they might have taken it away. I was flipping back and forth to different shit. But to suspend him after that, I don't. The referee ejected him. To me, if you can't defend a teammate after a dirty play, I don't know what the game is. Goodbranson beat the holy hell out of Nick Cousins today. And he beat the shit out of him. Punch after punch while he was on the ice. To me, that was more egregious than what David Perron did. If the refs were officiating the game better in those situations, there wouldn't be this. But taking away a player's ability to defend a teammate after a dirty play, that's just stupid. I don't think David Perron's a dirty player. I don't think that he was out of line with the way he reacted to the play. Because he saw his captain lifeless on the ice, and he went to the culprit. I'm fine with that. Should he have cross-checked Zub in the neck? No. But should they have cross-checked Larkin in the neck? No. Tit for tit, as Dwight Schrute would say. Two wrongs may not make a right, but guess what? I don't care. That's what parents say. Two wrongs don't make a right. Ugh, that was so annoying growing up. Guess what? I wanted to slash that kid because he was a little bastard to me. I might have been a little bastard first, but I'm going to do it. Parents always trying to tell you what was right. They don't know what's right. Not really, anyway. Love you, Mom and Dad, though. But Perron, I'm going to guess, is going to get a 4-game suspension. That's my early prediction. We'll talk about it when it comes out. Do I think he should get 4 games? No, I should get none. If you don't know the play I'm talking about, go look it up. But look at the whole play. Look what happened to Dylan Larkin. And then come back to me and say, oh, we should get a 5 games. Okay, fine. Sure. What else we got? I watched Boston Saturday afternoon. David Pastrnak. I love David Pastrnak before. To me, he's one of the most dynamic, one of the best players in the league. Has been for some time, and he's the new nucleus. He's the new heartbeat of the Boston Bruins. He's the driver of that team. He does everything. He's the leader. He's third in NHL scoring. Just not many things he doesn't do well. He's a great passer. He does it all. I love David Pastrnak. Canucks they get a big victory. Hurricanes have a players-only meeting after. Yikes. They haven't looked good in a hot minute. And they go out west and they don't get a victory. Not getting any saves, not getting any goals. The panic button's not signaled yet, but they're not playing good hockey. So you got to worry about that. Tonight, Preds are leading Montreal. Caps are leading Chicago. You have the Rangers up 2-0 in the third period against the Kings. Jets, Ducks. Jets have been playing really well as of late. Wild in Seattle and San Jose in Vegas has not started yet. Panthers beat the Blue Jackets this afternoon alongside the Oilers, beating the New Jersey Devils. It was an interesting weekend in sports. We're going to recap Monday Night Football and tonight's game on Tuesday on the show. Next weekend, we got UFC 296, which I can't wait to tee up later in the week. To me, the best pay-per-view of the year. The prelim fights are awesome. The main card are fantastic. So that's upcoming later in the week. We'll talk about congratulations to the Lakers on winning the in-season tournament, which was fun. And also, Bronny James, LeBron James' son, who went into cardiac arrest this summer, made his debut for the USC Trojans today. So great story to see him back on the court. So happy for Bronny. We'll be back Tuesday. Have a great start to your week. Talk to you soon. This is To The Point.